folks. In today's video, Honey and I are going to do a tennis-themed portrait shoot with kind of a glamour twist, show you the shooting, and then take you in studio, do the full edit, and give you some presets. Do you have a license for this thing?
No, I don't know how to play this.
Well, I think I know how to work this, so let's see how we go. Now, quick shout out to my aunt and uncle for loaning me their vintage tennis rackets so that we could shoot this. I'd been looking forward to shooting something like this with Honey for some time. She's always really fun to shoot with. While she's super athletic, she actually has never played tennis before, but it was still a fun shoot. You'll note we've got Aaron shooting on the gimbal. We also had a second camera on tripod as well as an action camera. We use all of these different angles to put these videos together, and for Patreon Uncut, where we share unseen footage from these kind of shoots as well as my different boudoir courses and travel. You can see full details for that in the description below. So on this day I shot with several of the different X2D lenses, and they all have their different pluses and minuses. I have to say the 35-75 I really love. I use it a whole hell of a lot. It is big and heavy and loud, but it's just so versatile and the image quality is fantastic. The newer 20-35 being their new E line, it's even better. It's silent, it's got a faster shutter, nice wide angle, nothing to complain about there. But I have to say the 80mm is where I was really leaning this day. The 1.9 aperture, the slow focus isn't really an issue in this kind of light. It's perfect conditions for that lens. Only thing that with the slower maximum shutter speed and the faster aperture, you actually hit times where you run out of exposure and you're overexposing your shot if you shoot wide open. If you're a Hasselblad shooter, check out the description below. You can find a link over to my expert setup guide. It takes you through the entire system as well as all of the different lenses. Check it out, full details below. We got some really fun shots this day. Reminder to stick around for the editing that's coming up soon, and to check the link below. You can download sample files as well as the editing presets. How do you think it went, Serena?
Good experience for the first tennis.
Was that your first time to ever hold a racket?
Yes.
Well, you look like
Professional, right?
a model carrying a tennis racket, so well done. I used the X2D today because I wanted to slow down and take fewer shots. In a way, I love the shots that came off it, and that did happen. But 1 hour with setting up, packing up and everything, it was so rushed. Thank you for just changing in like 10 seconds. Honestly, to get the shallow depth of field I wanted, you need the fast primes, and then you don't have the flexibility of a zoom. If I was shooting on my Nikon with a 24-70 2.8, I pretty much could have got 90% of the quality results with a lot less changing lenses and a lot better autofocus, but still, I do love using that camera. So please check out Honey's links, all the details will be below. You can also check out my Patreon, and let's head in studio and edit up some of the files. Okay, folks, that was a really fun shoot. Could you tell that Honey had never really played tennis before? An hour was way too fast, especially when filming from multiple angles, but lots of fun. If you haven't already, please do check out Patreon Uncut. That's where I'm sharing all kinds of footage that you can't see anywhere else, outtakes from when I'm making my different art nude courses, as well as YouTube videos, as well as travel and stuff. I'm heading off to Tanzania tomorrow, so all kinds of different content. There's free memberships, different tiers as well, depending on the kind of content that you're interested in. You can see details in my link tree. Now, I've chosen out 5 images here for you. Hasselblad files are gigantic, but I just wanted to show you my basic workflow. So I thought I'd show you a couple that I've kind of started, some that I've finished, and then we'll do one together. So when I'm doing a batch edit, like I've shot a sports event or I'm shooting for a course and I might have literally hundreds of files that I'm outputting, then I'll do my broad edits, export them all as low-res JPEGs, and then if they're face shots, people, then I'll run them through Rebloom as a batch edit. But when I'm doing individual shots, then I actually do it one by one and I include it in the Lightroom workflow. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm doing all my Lightroom adjustments first, then I'm saving out the preset for you guys, then I do the Rebloom, because once I do the Rebloom, it comes back as a TIFF and then you won't see all of the editing steps. So for example, this is the shot that I got up to where I wanted in editing, and you'll have that file as one of the downloads you can see below. And then once we went in and ran it through Rebloom, all of the skin has softened out. Now, that's the basic workflow. Let me show you how we actually do it in real time. So this, I've already done the edit that I want from where we started off. However, there is some skin detail here that I want to tidy up. Honey generally has great complexion, but direct harsh sunlight, 102 megapixels, what are you gonna do? So let's go and edit in Rebloom with my Lightroom adjustments. Now I have it set in this process to edit in the highest possible quality rather than doing it the quicker way. So you'll notice that the toolbar there takes a little minute to edit through. I also have it currently on the highest settings of full general, full texture on the fashion look. So let's go in and show you now. Can actually bring Rebloom full front and center. You'll see we don't lose any hair detail, but just the skin is now flawless. All those little pimples and stuff that won't be there from day to day, but are on that day, so nicely tidied up. If you want to bring it back a little bit, you can go for the more natural look. And again, if we wanted to, we can say bring the texture down, and then here, that's the before, and that's the after. But let's say we want to go for the more fashiony look. I tend to not go 100% on the texture anyway, so that's our before and our after. Then just hit OK. Then it's going to process my FFF file into a TIFF file. And I should say, whilst we're doing that, that I actually have already been through the process of bringing all of my files into Focus, the Hasselblad software, and processing the 3FR files into FFF, so the Hasselblad color science is already baked into the files. I'll link a video above and below where I run you through what my Hasselblad workflow is in case you're in the system. So there is our overall final edit, and if we wanted to compare one to the other then, you can see it really does make a big difference. But if you look at, say, the lips and the eyebrows and that kind of thing, we're not losing the beautiful detail through those areas. So that's the kind of difference that Rebloom can make on your workflow. I rave about it. It's the biggest change that I think I've made in my workflow in the past 4 or 5 years. It saves so much time and it gives me better results than I can do myself. You can check it out. There'll be a link below. They have different subscription plans if you prefer that, but I personally bought the outright lifetime one, which means I can continually update it, and all of them have no editing limits. You know, some of these have like a 5 or 10 cent per image charge to do the processing. Here, once you download it, you can do 1 million if you want, and it's all offline. You don't need an internet connection, so that's really handy. Taking a look at some of the other edits. So this one, as I said, we went for I can show you the starting point on this one as well. So but you can see the color kind of palette that we went for there. So that's where we started out, and that's where we ended up. So I think it came together quite nicely. On this guy, we went through and did a different kind of a treatment. I quite like the higher contrast here, bringing out some purples and stuff, just crazy detail, the kind of info that you can get from these files. I might even just show you on this one so you can see if we bring this into Rebloom. The fear when you work on a file like this is that has so much detail in them, tiniest little texture on her face and then the tiny little hairs and that kind of thing on her face, that the editing software is going to ruin all of that and be too heavy-handed with it. But here, taking a look, this is our after. You can see we still have so much detail in there around the eye. Let's actually go in past 100% on 102 megapixel. And looking at the before, so it's brought down, you know, the kind of the pimples and blemishes and that kind of thing, but the skin texture and all of the hair and everything is still intact. I feel like it just does such a great job. So let's edit this one together. And for this, I wanted to go for something a little bit more simple, but still getting kind of a cinematic and kind of a retro looking vibe to it. Now to do that, I'm basically going to split tone it. We've got the greens, we've got the reds in the background, and then we have the oranges on her. I'm going to go in and keep this one nice and simple. On our saturation, I'm going to bring the reds up, the oranges up, but maybe a little bit less. Yellows likewise, a little bit less. And then the greens, I'm going to bring down around about the same amount, and the blues around about the same amount. And I'm going to do the same on the luminance, or roughly the same. So that's kind of getting us there. Then, actually, I'll leave the last step for the last. Then the highlights here. We've got our highlights, shadows, and midtones. Our midtones, I'm going to move into the orange. Our shadows, I'm going to move into the blues. And the highlights, I'll bring into kind of a golden hue. That's kind of getting us where I want to be. In terms of the crop, I don't have I probably would love to do a bit of something, but her feet and head are so close to the frame, I don't have much of an option here. Overall, I'm then going to bring my saturation down on the shot. And let's see what bringing a bit of vibrance back in is going to do here. Yeah, I think that works fairly well. So it gives it a fairly subtle kind of an effect. Then I'm going to bring down my overall shadows. I'm going to bring down my highlights as well. This is going to basically mute everything out. And then let's have a look where we started and where we came from, because sometimes you get to a point you're like, is that actually where I wanted to be? Okay, my bad. I see now that I actually had pre-cropped this file. Okay, so now that I know that, I actually do have a little bit that I can play with this guy. I'm thinking I would rather not have the second sock coming into the shot if I'm able, and I can kind of do that just by adjusting my rotation. Okay, so that's kind of getting us to a place that I'm happy with. And again, I will save out that as our preset. And if you don't know, making presets is so incredibly easy. It's as simple as that. And then that saves it all in there for you. Now we'll just jump that one in to Rebloom, edit with adjustments. I'm running a dual display setup here, so it's actually opening Rebloom on my second screen, which you can probably see the back of there. It's not actually that slow. I then just have to go across and bring it in. And let's see, let's go for a more natural look. We'll work the texture though. As I say, I'm on the highest quality there. If you do it on ultra fast, it does it in like less than a second. But I figure 3 seconds or 0.6 of a second, well, 5 seconds or 0.6 of a second, why not do it the best that it possibly can? And then save that one back into Lightroom. So let me know what you thought, folks. I'm really into doing all kinds of different challenges at the moment. We've got the film style challenge where we limit ourselves to 36 images, the 10-minute challenges, the budgetography ones. This one was more of a quick shoot and then an editing process. But I'd love the content to be driven by you guys. So let me know what kinds of videos would you like to see in future. Do check out the sample files and presets in the description below, as well as the link to the video I did on my full Hasselblad workflow, info about Rebloom, and of course Patreon Uncut. Let me know any questions you have. I'll see you soon.